compose ourselves, I guess, late and then be able to finish the game off. You don't get that done if you don't stay connected as a group, and you probably accuse that we've lost that connection over periods of games and for too long, and it's given opposition, an ability to be able to go win those games. But fortunately, even though the method wasn't fantastic, we're still able to sort of stick out as a group, and we're able to get over the line in the end.
Is it still a worry, though, that this problem seems to persist? Like, we've been asking you about this all season long. You're up by 38 points in the second quarter. It gets to 6 with 4 minutes plus left. Like, it could have easily gone the other way.
Yeah.
Is it becoming, like, or are you pretty concerned?
It's a step at a time. It's a step at a time. Certainly, it's not going to be we're not going to go from, 0 to 100 in 5.8 seconds here. It's we've got to take it a bit of a step at a time. So the bye gave us an opportunity to be able to sort of look at all those things and maybe dig a little bit more into the why and how we can get it better. And some of that was, around our ball movement. Some was around, just being able to make sure that we execute for longer and to continue to persist. So it's a good problem to have if you're in front by that much and you're getting that many opportunities. It's a good problem to try and solve. The harder one to solve is you're behind all the time, you get no opportunities, and you're trying to win your game from a completely negative base. So it just depends on which way you look at it. We'd like it to be different. We'd like some of the results to be different in the first half, but now it's about moving forward. Now it's about looking at these games we've got now and try and build some momentum off the back of it.
G'day, guys. Welcome. Kudos to the journo, actually, who asked that question. I find journos pretty soft, really soft. I don't like putting that little snippet, cutting up that. But that's the only thing I really took out of that press conference, was that section there with that question from that journo. I mean, it sums up a lot for me, a lot. And it's why I'm feeling the way I am about the club, about the coaches, the players, everything all in together. And I suppose this kind of narrative now, and I could feel Voss kind of awkward in that situation when that question was first being asked. If you look at his body language, I just find it staggering. I really do. I find it staggering to respond in that way. It's not surprising. But this kind of narrative now that we're kind of in our infancy, like talking in these tones of a young team that's finding their way. Like this is 4 years in, and to be talking, it's just a step at a time. It's a step at a time. Like, it's kind of like baby steps. We're not going to go from 0 to 100 in 5.8 seconds here. I mean, this has been 4 fucking years that we've been talking about skill, method, consistency, style. I mean, he mentioned it there, method. The method wasn't there. He mentioned it. The method wasn't there. And it was spirit, really. It was spirit and some individual accolades, really, individual performances that got this team over the line in again against a decimated team. And it wouldn't have surprised me if that was Brad Scott saying that. It's a step at a time. It's a step at a time. We're not going to go from... That wouldn't have surprised me if it was him talking like that. But he was sitting there saying, no, that wasn't good enough. We're not here. We're here to win games. I mean... So, it's little wonder that there's so many supporters just sort of drifting away and just becoming viewers of this club and not getting excited about a win. And I said it in my preview, I would not get excited. And did the game pan out the way I would have liked it to? I I would have liked to have seen Essendon hit the front. I really would have liked to have seen them hit the front in that last quarter, or even in the third quarter, and maybe polled on a few more goals if they had the capability to do that. I went to the game, and I wanted them to hit the front. I wanted to see what we really had, because I haven't seen that this year. So if we're going to talk spirit, we're going to talk connectiveness. We led from start to finish. I understand we were under the pump at three-quarter time, but I did say in my preview I wanted to get something out of this game. Let's get hitted and let's see some real fight and some real spirit. And maybe there was a small amount of that in this game. The fact that, it was tight. And it could have gone the other way, and it didn't. And I fully understand this win is important for all concerned at the club. I don't know and what I mean by all at the club, it's not important for me at the moment, but particularly the players and the coaches. And they'd be feeling the heat. And they'd be kind of thinking anything is possible to keep this season alive. Like anything. We just need to get a win just to maybe take the pressure off a little bit. But this performance, and particularly selection, kind of stunk of safety and predictability and the sameness. And I did wonder after the game what it would have been like if we were a little bit less focused on trying to salvage something from this year in regards to pressing for finals and maybe scraping in. And there's a bit to go. There's a bit to play out. I can acknowledge that. And a win keeps you in it. I just can't see it. I just can't. And I just can't. I can't see the future with a lot of these players in this team. And the coaching has to be questioned when you are talking about it. It's a step at a time. And we're not going to go from 0 to 100 in 5.8 seconds. He said it. This is his team. He's been there for 4 years with that coaching group. And we're talking about these same things all the time. I hate the fact that we're just changing the narrative, changing it. And when that game got really tight, who did he sub off? Who the fuck did he sub off? He subbed off the youngest player. And while Essendon ran around with all these teenagers, taking it up to us, he decided to sub off a 19-year-old who wasn't playing that poorly. I can understand he's going to make some mistakes here or there, but no, let's take the teenager off because I kind of want to win this game, and we kind of feel like that it's going to be the older guys that are going to show that little bit more experience against the younger opposition who's going to make some mistakes. So let's get the young kid off. Why drop O'Farrell? I understand why they did bring back Silvani in, but if you're going to bring Jack Silvani in, why not drop some older, underperforming players? Because Harry O'Farrell's your future. So but they are playing for the now. And I mean, the Bombers don't necessarily have a hell of a lot of choices at the moment in regards to who they play. But Jesus Christ, if we're talking about the future here, It's always hard to go too early on young players, but geez, they were impressive. Some of the young players were impressive the way they stood up under the heat in that game after starting slowly. Really impressive. And if we're getting carried away by, some performances of our younger players, and don't get me wrong, they're our future. They're our future. Every team have got talented youngsters coming through. Every team have got talented youngsters coming through. But this was a win. We got off to a flyer as we usually do, but it was predictable. The intercept game was strong from our back half. We marked the ball strongly in that first quarter, but soon as Essendon brought the heat, and they certainly did bring the heat, they were aggressive, and not for 1 second did I like what Sam Durham did to Adam Chera, but Essendon's aggression at the man and at the ball at the start of that second quarter was like, wow, they've been given a good old-fashioned bake by their coach. And they put us off our game. I don't think we're as tough around the ball as we think we are. Oh, we're good. We're good around the ball, and it's our bread and butter, the contest game. But they put us off our game. No doubt about that after quarter time. And players that you didn't necessarily think were capable of doing it, they kind of dominated. They dominated the clearance game, and we just did not have an answer for it. We just kind of folded when that contest game was taken away from us. We struggled, and it just was a constant battle for a good 2 quarters. And if it wasn't for the fact that they were so content, Essendon, at moving that ball so quickly, particularly by hand through the corridor, which was dangerous, and it opened us up. They probably just overdid it a fraction. But they certainly played the more attractive style of football, but in the end at their own detriment, particularly when we got numbers back and we almost like preyed on their ability to make a mistake, in which they did. But this isn't it. Like, this is not it. It's not it. We know it's not it. Jesus. Positives. There was some spirit to win that game. There was some spirit to win that game. I mean, Voss calls it to stay connected. For Ollie Hollins was absolutely superb in that last quarter. He was kind of eye-catching. So he was doing to Essendon what they were doing to us, but he was doing it by himself. His running ability, it was almost like he just said, no, fuck this, I'm just going to play the game. And yeah, he's a good kick. He's a good kick away from being an absolute gun, this kid. Does that make sense? He's a good kick. So he's not a great user of the ball, and his decision-making is not always great. And that's going to be, I think, it's probably always going to be a source of concern. I just feel like it is. But he just goes and goes. And I thought, without him, we're not winning that game of football. Without Sam Doherty behind the ball, really safe. Like safe. You know, like Essendon didn't have that. Essendon didn't have that safety net in their backline. He's a very experienced footballer, Sam Doherty. But moving forward, he's not the answer. He just can't be the answer moving forward. Not against top quality opposition. I can't see it with him. You know, he's had 2 reasonably good games in a row now, and he did some really brave things in that last quarter. Is he winding back the clock? I don't necessarily think he is. I think he's still a yard off the pace. I think he's still going to get found out against better opposition. But I think right now it's safe. It's safe because we need wins. Like, we need wins. Same with Blake Acres. Like, he was subbed out against the Giants after a really poor performance. So we decided to drop Bins. Because we just, it's kind of safe. But Acres, just this continual sort of poor form continues, although he was good in this game, sort of. Like, he kicked that great goal in the last quarter, but he's still really messy. He's fumbly. He's making a lot of mistakes. Thought Hudson O'Keefe showed some really good signs potentially for the future. It's still very, very early days with him. And what he will become, he probably, you know, the funny thing is, you know, if Harry's available, he probably goes out. He probably goes out of the team. Who else? I mean, the Cincotta one, the Cincotta inclusion and role is really interesting because he's been lauded, obviously, for keeping Zach Merritt down to 14 disposals. He had 3 touches himself. Now, Merritt's a good player, like a really good player, but Martin was just about best on the ground, Nick Martin. Well, he's clearly Essendon's probably most damaging player. And he can't do both. He can't, you know, Cincotta can't go to Merritt and Martin, although he did start at was it half forward, and then went in to the centre sort of area at stoppages to take Merritt. Merritt really did that any influence on the game at all. But he's had 3 touches, and that this time last year, Cincotta was playing that exact same role. So I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this as being sustainable. It might have been sustainable in this game against Essendon to get the win. And maybe that's all you need to do. But this time last year, he was playing exactly the same role to very good effect for about a series of 3 or 4 games. And then the Oppo really worked it out because we are such an easy team to work out. So much so did they work it out that his form started to drop off because you really couldn't play him in a number of different areas. And then Alex Cincotta was actually dropped for the elimination final. Dropped. He played 16 games straight, and then it got to the elimination final against Brisbane, and Michael Voss dropped him. So what's he do now? Virtually 12 months down the track, we're struggling. He brings him back in and he plays him as just a lockdown tagger. The same position that just went obsolete last year and didn't, like it worked for a period of time, but the opposition worked it out. So where does that leave us now with Alex Cincotta? He's going to play this role again for these sort of shut-down roles and pick up 5 or 6 disposals, or is there something else in store? Because mark my words, the better teams in the competition will work this out. And bringing in Orazio Fantasia, safe, and predictable. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the team. Silvani outstanding again, just outstanding. Don't be surprised this week he'll sign a contract, maybe next week. They've done the feel good with George Hewitt. I reckon there'll be a feel good with Jack Silvani. It's probably the perfect opportunity, if the decision has been made behind the scenes that he has signed, that the club will push that along as another feel good story. Thought he was outstanding. Caddy's a very, very good young player, but just couldn't get into the game. And I thought Jack was our best player. Wiedering's down on form. 2 games in a row now. It's been below expectations. I thought Peter Wright was bloody good in his role he played. He kicked some goals forward and he went into the ruck. Mentioned Ollie Hollands, thought he was outstanding. Saad kicked a beautiful goal early in the game, but imagine a situation if Adam Saad was just injured at the moment. We had to play Billy Wilson instead in that role. I reckon that'd be exciting. I reckon that would be exciting to see Billy Wilson come in. Just like Essendon had to play so many youngsters in that game, in their back half, which was fucking decimated. I didn't even realise that Mason Redmond didn't play. So it was just Jaden Laverty, really, and they just held up. They held up. For so much of that game, they held up, those young sort of defenders. But imagine a situation where Adam Saad he was injured, or they had to rest him, or they put him out and they brought a Billy Wilson in to see what we could get from Billy Wilson. Anyway, Nick Haynes was okay, thought he was really good. But he's another one. I mean, can Harry O'Farrell play that role? He will in the future. Chincotta, yep, he kept Merritt in the 14, but had 3 himself. Cooper Lord, he's made some small steps again. Small steps, there you go. He's a solid contributor for a second-year player. Seems to have a steady head on his shoulders. Cripper was down. Thought Setterfield was outstanding on him. I really like the toughness of Will Setterfield. I didn't necessarily rate Will Setterfield when he left the football club, and I don't know necessarily whether just on the back of that game, but he's got some real ticker about him. Will Setterfield, thought he was outstanding on Patrick Cripps. Blake Acres, he played his best game for the season, but it was messy. Carroll was the scapegoat, subbed off. Curnow, as he usually does, a couple of goals early, but then was just held and really had no influence on the game at all. Thought Jaden Laverty did a good job on him. Fogarty, hardly noticed him. Mitch McGovern started forward, drifted back, hardly noticed him. Hudson O'Keefe took 4 or 5 really strong contested marks, got a real appetite for the contest. I'll leave it at that at the moment. Don't want to get it carried away with Hudson O'Keefe because it's just one game. Zach Williams kicked a couple of goals, used the ball really nicely in that first quarter. Another safe option to come back into this football team. Tom De Koning and the veteran Todd Goldstein had a great battle. I asked my young son, my youngest boy, who's a ruckman, who follows the rucks really, really closely. We had a chat last night about this, and I just said, where do you rate Tom De Koning? And he's a Carlton supporter. Where do you rate Tom De Koning in the grand scheme of things in terms of ruckman? And he had him outside the top 5. In fact, he had him with a whole group of sort of players. He had Gawn, Cherry, Cameron, English, Marshall, and Grundy all before him. I can understand it was a good game by De Koning, but I'm not necessarily worried about all the fuss at the moment regarding how good he is. I thought Goldstein was pretty good for them. They controlled the clearances in the middle part of the game. He took some great contested marks, Tom De Koning. I don't think he uses the ball that well. I don't think he makes great decisions by foot. I think it was a bloody good game. He was probably in our top 5 players. Chero, I thought, was our best midfielder. Thought we lost a little bit when he had to go off the ground. I think he's having a reasonable season at the moment. Walsh, he's worked pretty hard, but probably in our top 5 or 6 players, but it wasn't anything get too carried away with Sam Walsh at the moment. Mentioned Doherty as a veteran. He's come back in, full credit to him, but we'll wait for the really, really big games when we're playing some really decent opportunity. George Hewitt worked into the game, was okay. Fantasia hardly sighted him. And Motlop, after countless opportunities to get his season going, finally hit the scoreboard and did some nice things. Anyway, guys, that's a wrap. On to the Eagles now. On to the Eagles next week at Optus Stadium, which won't be easy, mind you. I know they had a loss against North Melbourne on the weekend, but yeah, any trip on the road is difficult, and they should be decent opposition. I'll be previewing that game later on in the week. Anyway, speak soon.